Welcome everybody to this attempt to reassemble the engine that we pulled apart a little while back. Thanks to Paul and Rick for setting up this video. This engine's all been machined and cleaned and we're ready to start going. The first thing we'll do is slip the camshaft in. And here it is. We need to put in a fair bit of lube on the engines, on the bearings, so we put them through, so we'll drop that in. It doesn't matter if we get it all over the place. But we do need it. It gets all over my hands too, but we'll worry about that later. We drop the camshaft because it's easy to put in while we can reach it, and the crankshaft's not in the way. You'll soon see what it looks like when we get it through here. And doing this, we don't damage the bearings at all. It's a bit easy to do it carefully. Be practically impossible to do if the crankshaft was in. And now we're nearly there. It only looks like it's a bit stuck. Good clearance on these bearings. We'll go and get a little persuader. So we're in. That'll just run a bit of the, keep turning her over and over, that'll just run a bit of that lubricant around all the bearings and it's feeling much better. Next thing we're doing here, drop the crankshaft rather. And we need to install the bearing shells. They've all been cleaned, everything's spotless in here. And if you look at that, there's a little notch on the end of the bearing shell that goes into a little notch in here, so that put that in first and then press them down. Got to make sure they're absolutely clean underneath. One more to go. This is a 5-bearing crank, obviously. The original 3 bearings was this one, the one in the middle of the edge, and the extra 2 ones have got in there a little bit narrower. So once you've done that, once again, a bit of lube on it. There we get the crankshaft. Clean to make sure it's clean and spotless, especially the main bearing shells and everything's clean. And I'll wipe off. I use a bit of brake cleaner, as they call it, brakes and parts cleaner, which dries nice and dry. There's no residue left if you use a bit of kerosene or something. Now you can see that we wouldn't have had a hand room there to put the camshaft or guide the camshaft if this was in the way. Now, next thing you need to check is the clearance on the crankshaft. It's got to have a little bit of end float. Right, and until all the thrust is taken on the centre main bearing. A little bit more lube won't hurt. Now the thrust races, you might see them on here, they're on the side. I put the 2 bearings in on this, a little bit of grease to hold them in place, and the copper or brass goes to the outside. All the bearing shells are marked front, and they go in there like that. 2 washers to go on it, and 2 nuts. At the moment I'm just going to set in the 1 bearing so we can check the end float. Yeah, we're going to torque these to start with. So you talked about 70 foot-pounds. Set them initially about 60. And now we'll set up a little dial gauge so we can see how much end float we've got. Here's the trusty old lever so we see what movement we get out, anything. Negligible, isn't it? Yeah, that's fitting using standard clearance thrust washers. So we'll take all that off. Now we'll do the same for the rest of the bearings. They're all marked front. And caps. So the nuts are just slightly tapered across, they've got a dome effect. Well, that squashes up the thread inside and gives a mechanical lock on the stud. So that's why there's no lock washers underneath, they tend to loosen off anyhow, so this is a good way of doing it. It's like a nylock nut without the nylon. Now, if you ever tried to fit these little rear bearing caps, well, the end ones, you know they're a little bit difficult to get sometimes. So, a little trick is to put them in the freezer. They shrink just enough, hopefully, to fit in easily.
That's where they were hiding.
That's where they were hiding. Use a rubber mallet, you don't want to belt metal on metal, and tap it in very gently. That's a lot easier than with them being cold, a little bit smaller. Alright, and it'll set at 60 foot-pounds. We wanted about 70, so we'll reset this and do them again. Beautiful. So that's what it looks like under there. Now the next thing we do is turn it up and we'll start dropping a couple of pistons in. Alright guys, now we've done the camshaft and the crankshaft, all is good. I've set up a piston ready to put in. No, the rings are on. This is a piston ring compressor. Now if you look in the top of the piston, there's a notch and that goes to the front of the car. On the cotton rods there's a little oil squirt hole here that goes away from the camshaft. So we very carefully drop this down. And we get my persuader when I've lost it. There is it. It's here. And gently tap it down. There's one in. Easy done, isn't it? Well, it seems easy. Now we go and start again and do another one. And we'll do piston number 4 because that's at the end of the crankshaft, still up high for it. The caps match the con rod, so we've got to keep them together. And on the con rods there is, you know, look, there's some little indentations. You can see them. That match up. This is number 4. There's 4 little spots. Once again, we get everything a nice little clean. Get the next bearing shells. Yeah, I've already given these a bit of a clean, and they go in the same way as the others. Little notch goes in the top, and then we press them in. Alright, that's ready. They're ready to go. And the only thing we need to do now is to make sure the gaps on the rings are round away from each other. And a bit of oil on them. Let that ring compressor out for a bit so it'll fit over everything, and put it on carefully. Doesn't need to go all the way down. And then we just tighten it up. A bit of lube to drop on the bottom crank pin. To the front. We'll hold away from the camshaft and feed it down. And look at that. Couple of pistons in already. Good one. Bit more lube. Number 4. And don't forget the lock washers. Alright, they're there. That's 2 in, not quite done. We'll torque these up later, torque the bolts up. We'll try and do the next 2 pistons. Righto, we'll go and torque them up now. 35 to 40 pounds. Tied the lock plates down so they won't move. Got the tension right on the big end bolts, and now we just turn it over to get back to the other side. there we go. That's it for that. Next thing is to put the timing gear etc. on, and we might do that for another day. Thanks guys, hope it's been something useful. I lost a bit of paper. And we'll start moving again on the next time.